You are tuning in to the You Are Loved podcast, where we hope to bring love and kindness to the world.
Welcome to another You Are Loved podcast. We have the amazing Sheena on the stage with us today. And Sheena is a Wall Street Journal and Publishers Weekly bestselling author, TEDx and keynote speaker, and one of the leading voices in human readiness, the emerging field at the intersection of confidence, visibility, and workforce transformation. She's the founder of Human Readiness Movement and the creator of the visible framework, Voice, Identity, Spotlight, Inner Work, Belief, Leverage, Elevation. The method she built to put the movement into practice, used by leaders, teams, and organizations to bridge the gap between raw talent and realized potential. Her work helps organizations answer the most important questions in leadership. Are your people truly ready to show up, lead, and grow at the level they're capable of? Her Wall Street Journal bestselling debut, The Tao of Self-Confidence, was named one of the top 20 best-selling confidence books of all time by Book Authority. Her latest release, Bridging the Confidence Gap, is a hold to make visibility and self-trust core leadership competencies, not soft skills, but strategic ones. Sheena is the host of the Tao of Self-Confidence podcast, ranked in the top 0.5% globally with over 1.3 million downloads and 800 plus interviews featuring CEOs, celebrities, and cultural icons across 180 plus countries. She has delivered transformational keynotes and corporate programs for global brands, including NASA, Live Nation, and UKG. And her work has been featured on NBC News, Fox, Mind Valley, and the Manila Times. Sheena belief is simple. The leaders and organizations that will define the next decade won't just be the most skilled, they'll be the most human ready. Welcome, Sheena.
Thank you so much for that great introduction. Super excited to be here today.
So, tell us a little bit about like your first book that you wrote and like what inspired that.
Yeah, I mean, I never set out to write a book, to be honest. This happened in 2023. I actually had a co-authored book that I was promoting, and someone from my publisher, who used to work at my publisher, bought a copy and asked if I wanted to speak at one of their lunch and learn events. And so I said yes, and I did the event. And after that, someone from at a higher level that went to her asking if I wanted to work with them as an author. So when I first got approached to, have a book with them or write a book with them, I really wasn't ready, or I felt like I wasn't ready, because they wanted me to write a book about leadership. And to be honest, I had no clue what that looked like. I didn't think of myself as a poster child for leadership. I was going through a lot of imposter syndrome. It's not like I have an MBA. I moved from the Philippines to Canada when I was 7. I had to take English classes to learn to speak English properly. And so I almost said no to that opportunity. And I'm glad that I have people who are, who believe in my abilities, who push me to say yes. And because of it, I said yes, had less than 3 months to write the book. And then here we are. And I wrote a second book with the publisher as well. And, human readiness is such an important topic because it all boils down to how capable we feel, because we are capable. We're so capable. We're more than capable to make things happen. Is it easy? No. You're going to go through hurdles. You're going to go through all kinds of stuff, but it's knowing that you can make it happen regardless of any circumstances. It'll help you move forward, right? Every single strategy in the world on what to do, but if you're not mentally prepared, or you don't think you're ready, or you don't think you can adapt to it, or you don't believe in yourself, or you don't believe in the process, you're not going to go out there to do it. And this is why human readiness is such an important topic. I know a lot of people have been, talking about being tech ready, being AI ready, but really you need to be human ready to embrace those things. And, I remember when I wrote my second book, there was a report that mentioned only 9% in the workforce live up to their full potential in the workplace. Again, 9%. So it's not a strategy problem. It's not, a problem with the process. It's a human readiness problem. A lot of them feel like they're not ready, or they feel like they don't trust the system, or they don't trust the processes, or maybe there's a culture where they don't feel like they can go out there and move up. All that ties into it,
Mm,
and you don't address those things. Your employees aren't going to work at their best, right? Your productivity goes down, and what happens when productivity goes down? Your revenue. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
so important to talk about this, because we're always going to go through big changes in
Hmm.
this earth or in this life, right? Um, one the next day something wild could happen, and if we're not prepared for it, then we won't be able to utilize it or embrace it or figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
A great example of how human readiness was able to help us move forward was the lockdown, right? 6 years
Hmm.
ago, we had no idea what was going to happen to the world, right? We were all locked down. It was like a ghost town. We didn't know if we will survive this, but we were able to learn to pivot, to live with it, to change with the times in that moment. And we were able to move forward and thrive, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't perfect, but we're all here today still.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. I enjoyed the distancing because I don't like people too close to me. And I enjoyed the open space when I was out traveling and everyone else was home and I was traveling on the planes and stuff like that and just going where I could go during that time. So it was kind of great. So, but yes, that definitely was like kind of crazy because, like, okay, what am I going to do with all my time? What am I going to do with this? And You Are Loved actually was grown out of that time as well. And then here we are. I can't believe it's been 6 years already. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. It's kind of wild to think we were all locked down, not knowing what happened. I was watching a lot of Korean dramas that time. And also, the pandemic like helped me really just get out of my own way and just go for it, right? We're all
Yeah.
stuck at home. What's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we create something amazing and then we do great things, right? And I know not everyone was able to do that, and that's fine. Everyone has their own time. Everyone's going through things, but again, if you're given a situation, do you react to it or do you learn to move forward? Or do you
Yeah.
learn to figure it out, right?
Right.
And so it's not about, who's the smartest. It's about who's just willing to take action,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes being smart can be a liability. Like sometimes you're so smart that for me personally, like you just tend to hesitate or you feel like you need more
Yeah.
or you take less action because you know too much. Sometimes you have to not know anything, just take imperfect action and just like
Yeah.
course correct as you go.
Exactly. Exactly. So I know because sometimes I'll have a tendency to overthink stuff and then I procrastinate with it instead of
Same.
and yeah. And then so then I'll be like, okay, no, I just need to jump in head first and figure it out as long uh, as I go along. So, okay. So, speaking about that, confidence and competence are often treated as though they naturally go together, but they don't always. So, have you seen people who are highly competent but hold themselves back, like while someone has less qualified confidently steps
Oh yeah.
um, into the opportunity? And like, what do you think we can learn from that?
For sure. I mean, it was one of the reasons why I wrote Bridging the Confidence Gap, right? There was a report from the World Economic Forum that mentioned that total gender parity would be achieved at the
Hmm.
earliest in the year 2154. Yeah. But that's when I wrote the book 2 summers ago, and now it's
Hmm.
2158. And as women, we're more than competent. We are so capable. Sometimes how we perceive ourselves stops us from moving forward. And I know that's not the only thing.
Mm,
I know we go through a lot of things. So I'm not saying it's just us. As women, we go through so much. And I write all about that in the book, talking about the things we go through. Like if you're a certain age, you feel like you're expired. If you have a certain skin color, you're not deemed as beautiful. Like, especially in the Philippines, like whitening creams, products are heavily used here. They have it in
hmm.
billboards, celebrities endorsing it. And for me, I believe everyone's beautiful in their own skin, right?
Yeah.
And we have to keep talking about that because it's not just in the Philippines, it's all over the world. In fact, whitening products are like a multi-billion-dollar industry that preys on women's insecurities.
So are
So
tanning
there's
products, which is kind of crazy, right?
yeah, in the States or in Canada, it's like you go away to Mexico for a week, you come back with a tan and everybody loves it. If you come to Asia, if you did that, it's the total opposite. It's
Yeah.
wild, but it's interesting to see. But you know, I've seen this time and time again where like men, right? You know, they're like 20-30% ready and they will just go for it, right?
Yeah.
They're not always the most skilled, but they're willing to just go for it and whatever result they get, they're happy with it.
Yeah.
As women, and I'm guilty of this as well, and I'm not saying all women, right? Most that I've seen is we tend to be 110% ready, but something still holds us back, right? We hold back to taking that interview or going on stage to speak or writing that book because we feel like we need more. And
Mm-hmm.
so again, I've seen that time and time again. We are all more than competent. We are more all than capable. It's how we see ourselves. And this is why there's a gap, right? Because there's a disconnect with how capable you are versus how capable you feel. And so if you don't bridge
Mm,
those two together, you're not going to see yourself. You're not going to see your value. You're not going to go out there and take the first step. And just for me personally, like doing things on my own, I didn't get the results by being perfect and by being 110% ready. I just realized I need to take action, take imperfect action, and keep course correcting until I get to that end result. Like speaking, right? I always used to think that, you had to be the perfect speaker, you had to know every single thing, you had to be an expert in everything. And also when in my 30s, I just thought it was too late. I was like, I'm too old. I can't do this. And I'm glad I didn't believe in that. I'm glad I'm here today. But I
mm-hmm.
realized you just have to go out there and apply, right? Like
Yeah.
apply for the event, reach out to people. If you get rejected, great. It's not the end of the world. It's just feedback. It helps you figure out what went wrong, what went right. Even like doing presentations, I was doing like, text heavy presentations. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. I need to kind of like course correct it, and it helped me get clear on the type of presentations that I want. But I wouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
known if I didn't do the text heavy
Right.
presentations,
Yeah.
right? Or bombing my speaking engagements. I mean, I
Right.
I was never perfect. I would be my biggest like criticizer, right? And to be honest, and I'm not knocking anybody down, right? I see some people on stage and they're really not, they're not really that great, but they were just more willing to put themselves out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's not knocking people down, right? Like there's definitely a lot of people out there who could be great speakers when they can see their potential, when they can see their capability, or when they can just learn to put themselves out there. So it's not about always being the greatest person,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. It's like who's willing to put themselves out there. And I know as women, it's a lot harder. We get judged a lot harder. I get that because I've been through it, but nothing changes if we do nothing, right?
Yeah.
Change is not easy, especially being a woman of Asian descent. We've always been told to be quiet, submissive, never make any noise, stay in the background, do as you're told. So to be visible is really hard sometimes because I had to unlearn a lot of my own culture to show up,
Mm.
not just for myself, but for others as well. And so it is hard work. It does suck. Change looks like two steps forward, five steps back. But
Mm-hmm.
if we don't do it, nothing happens, right?
Yeah.
So it's not easy. Definitely, it's not easy. There's days where I'm like, I just want to hide from everybody. So
Yeah. And I think that a lot of times when you're on stage and you're speaking, we if the audience doesn't know and they're there to learn, they're not going to know if we make a mistake or we say something incorrect or whatever. We'll know that and we'll refine it for later on, but they don't necessarily know that. So it's okay to make those mistakes, and then just put yourself out there and not worry about that. And then if other people are judging me, what they think of me is none of my business. I just need to make the corrections and try to do better next time, and kind of
yeah,
just at it like that. And then I think, we would be all good. So now you have your own podcast and you've interviewed more than 800 people about confidence. Okay. So after hearing that many personal stories, like what do you think you've discovered about confidence that completely changed something you once believed about it?
I mean, I used to think being confident meant you had to be loud and boisterous and be out there. But really, being confident is just being yourself, like being your authentic self, right? And I know that sounds really cheesy, but it's true. Being able to embrace the good, bad, and ugly of yourself, right? Because we're all imperfect, and just being able to show that to the world. And I think there's no better time to be like truly authentic than now
Mm-hmm.
with the rise of AI, because people are getting sick and tired of seeing like AI cat videos, and there's just a lot of things going. People just want more human
Mm-hmm.
connection. They just want
Yeah.
real connection. They want to be able to see you're human, that you're doing things. They want to be able to relate to the things that you have. And I'm not saying AI is bad, right? It's a tool like anything else. If you learn to utilize it to help you, it's great. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's people out there who use it for good and use it for bad. And that's gonna. It's already, we see a lot of like traction already. There's a lot of things that's been happening, but yeah, that was one, right? Confidence, thinking that I had to be loud and boisterous when you can just be yourself. Like if you're an
Yeah.
introvert, that's okay, right? If you're not loud and boisterous, that's fine as well, right? If you're quirky, that's okay as well, right? We all have certain quirks. Like for me, I always wear the color red, right? Wherever you see me,
Mm-hmm.
I always wear the color red. People think it's, they ask me all kinds of questions about it, but it's something that I do. It's something that helps me, and it helps me bring courage and confidence when I go out there on stage. And it also
Mm-hmm.
represents, in Chinese culture, it represents abundance and happy moments. So of course, I want a color that represents not only me but my culture and the positive that comes with it. So that's what, for me, that's one. And then the second, you know, most of them basically realized their potential and was able to bridge that gap and just move forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? It didn't matter what they were going through, if they went bankrupt 3 times, if they went through cancer, if they went to jail, if they were born with no arms or no legs. They
Mm-hmm.
realized that none of that mattered. They just knew what they were capable of, and they were willing to do it. Because sometimes we go through unfortunate situations, right? But I always believe they're either a blessing or a lesson. And as humans, we hit a boiling point where we feel like enough is enough and just kind of go for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're like, what's the worst that can happen? If I don't do nothing, nothing happens. But if I take action, it'll lead me to other things. So
Mm.
a lot of it is mindset, a lot of it is doing the inner work. And some people take that for granted. In fact, in my visible framework, inner work is one of the things I talk about, which is 80% of the work, because our mindset is so powerful, right?
Mm.
What we hear, what we think, what we feed into it, we have to think of it as a computer hardware. Because if you feed good things to your computer, it works well, right? But what
Mm-hmm.
happens when there's a Trojan horse virus? Like there's pop ups everywhere, your computer's not working properly. So we have to think about our brain the same way, right?
Mm.
Feed it good things. And I'm not saying you're going to be positive all the time. It's that even if you go through hardships, challenges, you have the tools and resources and the mindset to keep moving forward.
Yeah. If we think about like our first few thoughts in the morning, like I read this book, I can't remember the name of it right now, but if we think about our first few thoughts in the morning, like when we first wake up and all that stuff, and just be intentional about thinking about what we're thinking about, like automatically, like it's just popping in our brain and stuff like that. A lot of times our first few thoughts in the morning are like negative, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, then you have to rebuke that. You have to be intentional, say, no, I rebuke that. I need to and then switch it up intentionally. And then be able to say, okay, and then you start your morning off better. You start to feel better about the day. Times when I've gone through like rough times and stuff like that. I've done like journaling where I've like said everything that I was thankful about in the mornings. And that's helped me to like uplift my spirits and say, okay, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, but I know this is all the other positive things I have going on. And this is how I'm going to be able to get through that. It's just kind of like building up your confidence, right? What you're saying.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. So what we feed into our brain is so important, right? Also, trauma plays a huge role. We don't
Mm-hmm.
realize our trauma lives with us if we don't learn how to heal from it or work through it. People don't realize, and I'm not a mental health expert, definitely consult with a mental health expert, but
Yeah.
especially in Asian culture, we're not taught to talk about mental health, what the things that we go through. We've been told that if we don't talk about it, it never happened. but that's not true. It did happen because
Yeah.
there'll be signs, right? And people don't realize we're not only working with our own traumas, we're also working with our parents, grandparents, and so on. Like intergenerational trauma is prevalent, and it goes four
Yeah.
generations deep. So if it goes four generations deep, just imagine how much unresolved trauma there is, right? And in old, like with the older generation, they were never taught to do that. We're just all learning that now, especially with the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And or the lockdowns, right? Mental health was a big issue because we were all stuck at home, and it really affected our mental wellness. And so we also have to learn to work through that. We also have to be aware what are the traumas that's stopping us from moving forward, because sometimes we're not even aware, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
to family members, mental health therapists, reading books, things like that. We need to work through it to show up as our best self. Because again, I have people asking me, how do I build confidence? But really, it's the wrong question. It's more like, what is stopping you from moving forward, right? Is there a moment in
Mm-hmm.
your life that's stopping you? Is there multiple things? What traumas is still holding you back from it? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why the inner work is so important, because
No, I think that's awesome.
yeah, working through that isn't pretty. It's
Do
not
you
rainbows
talk
and butterflies.
do you talk about the inner work inside of your confidence gap book?
I do talk about a little bit of it. Most of it is in my first book, The Tao of Self-Confidence, because
Okay.
it's all about learning to work through your trauma to show up as your best self. And doing my visible framework, I talk about that as well. So for those of you who may not know what the visible framework is, it's a framework I've created that helps with human readiness. And each letter from the word visible represents a pillar. So V is for voice, learn to speak up, communicate clearly. This is just a generalization.
Mm-hmm.
I is identity, know who you are, what you bring to the table, because we have different cultures, upbringing, stories that can bring a unique perspective. S is spotlight. Don't be afraid to be in the spotlight. Share your achievements, put yourself out there. People are not going to know you if you work from the shadows, right? And I've seen this time
Mm.
and time again, especially for women who think hard work speaks for itself, because hard work does
Mm-hmm.
not speak for itself. In fact, a lot of, and like a lot of people do the work thinking that their boss is going to praise them, when really their work has been stolen and someone else has taken credit for it. So this is why spotlight is important. I is inner work. Again, 80% of the work, working through your mindset, figure out what's holding you back, what trauma you're going through. This is really important, because when you can work through that, the 20% of the strategy will be a lot easier. B is for belief. You have to trust your own capability, right? And it ties in with inner work, because when you can feed yourself with good things, when you can believe in your capability, you're going to go out there and do it. L is leverage. You don't have to do everything alone. Learn to utilize your network, tools, and resources to 10x your impact. It's not
Mm.
about working hard. It's about working smart as well, right? Especially as
Mm-hmm.
women, we've been taught to be a superwoman of everything, and it's exhausting. No one wants to be a superwoman. Nobody says a man's a superman, right? Like, we've been ingrained that we have to be a one woman show, one person show, and no, we don't have to, right? There's tools, resources, people for a reason, right? And there's no shame in using that. And then ease elevation, as you move up, bring others with you.
Mm.
So um, it's a practical framework. You don't have to work it in order. You figure out which one resonates with you the most and figure that out, right? And work on that. So like me, belief
Mm.
is something I work on, right? As I move up, as I do new things, I question my own capability. I'm like thinking, can I do this? Is this possible? What if I fail? Those are all
Mm-hmm.
common, right? As humans, we're going to go through that. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that is so true, because a lot of times, even when it comes to like women like going after jobs and stuff like that, for like men are more apt to negotiate the salaries, go after even more than what they think that their value is or worth. They're just like, I'm gonna go for it, who cares, and kind of like just go after what they believe that they want. Whereas women were like, okay, you should see the value in us and you should offer us something more. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. We have to be more assertive into going after what
Proactive.
we want and really vocalizing what we believe that our worth is, or even more, because you
Yeah.
never know. someone else may look. I mean, a lot of times with the self-talk and the journaling, different things like that, and reading, right? Reading books like yours to be able to fill our minds with stuff that can help us change our mindset. That's all very important, and feeding us to be able to help us grow and become even better. And so okay. So one of my last questions is that I'm curious to know about is for those that are listening who knows that they're capable of more, but just keeps on waiting to feel confident, waiting for permission until they feel ready. Like, what would you challenge them to do differently starting today?
Just take it your first step. Just take it one step at a time, right? The hardest step is actually the first step. I know, because that was always my hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
Learning to press launch on my first episode, or starting my speaker community, like being able to put that out there is scary, right? But nothing happens if nothing happens. And also
Yeah.
community is important. I understand that we can't do it alone, and community is important to take accountability, to connect with one another, to know that you're not the only one going after things or doing
Mm-hmm.
things. Doing it together is a lot better. So find a community that you can resonate with, right? Again, it doesn't have to be a lonely road, right? And entrepreneurship is already very lonely on its own. This is why community is important. So we don't have to go through that loneliness, because if once we go through that loneliness, we're going to resist, not take action, and be stuck in this like rabbit hole of, overthinking, not doing anything. And so sometimes most of the time, we just need other people around us who understand what we go through and realize, hey, if she applied for 5 speaking engagements and got rejected, I'm going to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Because, I'm not the only one getting rejected. She's doing it and she's still going after it. She's going to apply for 5 more. So
Right.
this is why community is so important. So
Yeah.
community. I've started one, so if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, I think it's so important to have community where we can band together.
Yeah, and that helps you build your confidence gap, right? It helps you to have people that are stronger than you in certain specific areas, and they have you who's stronger in an area than probably they are, And so it helps to build that, and then you guys can build something great together, or separately, but then help each other out, networking skills, all of it. So where can people find more about you? And so what do you do consulting? What is it that you do that where you would like say, hey, people, you'd want them in addition to purchasing like your books and stuff like that? Like what do you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a link down below here, SheenaYapChan.com/links. It goes to all my social medias, my websites, my books, the things that I do. So again, the speaker community, if you're looking for more speaking opportunities but don't want to do it alone, I have a community where it's a small monthly fee and you get speaking opportunities delivered to you, so you don't have to worry about looking for it and figuring out where to look for them. And also being connected with other like-minded people. I also do one-on-one strategy sessions on human readiness, because really the thing that's stopping most people is just a little shift, right? Seeing their potential, moving forward, and putting themselves out there. So I do that as well. And then I have some other upcoming things I'm going to do, but those are the main things. And then, hopefully you can purchase a copy of my books. I also do a lot of corporate work, lunch and learns, workshops, things like that as well.
That's awesome. And we'll have that link in the description as well for people to easily click onto it. So Sheena, thank you so much for hopping on today. I really appreciate it. It's been great to have you. And I look forward to connecting again soon.
Thank you so much. It's been a blast. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Have a good day. All right. Bye. Everyone, thank you so much for another You Are Loved podcast. It has been amazing. Please click on the link below for all Sheena's links and to check her out. And then make sure you check out youareloved.store for any of our children's or our women's program. And I hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of You Are Loved. If you have any topic ideas or would like to be a guest on the show, please hit us up on Instagram at youareloved.store.